Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission meeting on Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. It is 6 p.m., and I will call this meeting to order. Folks watching at home will note that there's only 3 of us here, so introduction should be moving pretty quickly. And as usual, we'll start to my far right.
Phil Davis.
Jenny Wenzel.
Matthew Kuchiver, President. Our Vice President, David Copenhaver, could not be here tonight, as well as our Secretary, Andrew Noon, but I trust he'll be watching the recording to still make the minutes. So they are absent tonight, along with our, now that I actually have an agenda, our non-voting advisor, member of the school board, Rob Chalice, is also not here this evening. But we do have quorum, which is good. A couple of notes. Well, the agenda did have a discussion of funding applications 2025-1 and 2025-2, since they both had to do with road funding, and Andrew Noon was assigned to review and talk with the city administration about 2025-2. We are going to forego those this evening. They will go back on the agenda at our August meeting on the 21st. The mayor will be here to answer any further questions, as well as the follow-up on anything after Andrew makes his report. So we're going to forego those this evening. In addition, since Andrew's not here, we do not have the minutes from the June 26th meeting, and so we will delay approval of those meeting minutes until we actually have them. Again, that will be at the August meeting. So we will not consider those tonight. So that means the only 2 things we will have on our agenda is, 1, a update on our building of our new plan, a hearing from REA, and then we have 2 dockets with the of invoices that we have to look at, and then we're going to call it an evening. So without further ado, let's get into our big item of discussion. I will also note this is most likely going to be REA's last time addressing us. They're going to get the feedback we have from us and take what we discussed tonight, and then give us what will be their final work product, for which then we will use beginning in August to formally amend our redevelopment plan with this new plan that we have. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to Rose, Ed, Cecil, and the folks over at REA to go through the items that we have for discussion tonight.
Thank you. Happy to be here tonight. As Matthew mentioned, this is our final presentation of the plan. There are a number of comments that were made between you as Redevelopment Commission members, the steering committee when they reviewed the plan, and then some input from the open house that we will go over tonight. That is in your packet that says RDC feedback from the first draft of the comprehensive plan. There's a little key at the top that tells you what we've already taken care of, what we're still working on, and more information that would be needed. The primary things we want to discuss tonight and need your direction on in order to move forward are on the one called meeting agenda. And we'll start with that. And we're just gonna frame the discussion question, and then whatever you have to say is great. When you've come to some consensus on direction, we'll move on to the next point. There were several comments that people felt there needed to be a revision to the vision statement, which is fine. There was a proposed vision statement submitted, and that is in your meeting agenda with correction of typos. There's 2 typos in it. It reads, from the traditional Main Street to the Emerson corridor and the interstate fronting industrial area, Beech Grove strives to be a city with strives to bring to the city a wide variety of businesses and services that sustain a broad tax base, employ more individuals in the city limits, and offers residents a high quality of life through well-connected local and regional access, diverse and competitive housing options, and ample green space through the city's beautiful parks and trail system. At this point, do you want to accept the revised vision? Are there further comments on that?
Well, I think it's good. I think it addresses the common point of is that we understand a vision statement of being forward-looking. I think that is when I read through a
And
lot of
we
the
were-
comments.
We were writing it from the perspective of how the future state
Yes.
should be, but I can understand how that can be a
Yes.
confusing perspective,
Yeah.
and so we're fine.
So looking at that, to me, it balances out what we are and what we're trying to do. We need more tax base here. We want more people to be employed, and we do take pride in our green space. We have more. I think we have a lot of parks and everything out there, and people do love that green space. I see people out there all the time, and it makes it into that more forward-looking statement that I was saying. So I'm personally am fine with that. Just noting that I think if we used. With obviously the cleanups in the two typos, like the D that I think I put in there, and I think employees should be
sustain
employees, right?
instead of
Yeah, we'll fix that and
sustains and
everything.
yeah.
Yes. So I personally like it. I think it is that forward-looking that's there. I know it's a little bit broad-based, but these are those things. I mean, we got to try and sell to a broad base of people and everything. So I think that, to me, it balances out as much as we can.
I'm fine.
Fine, okay.
Good.
Good.
And again, and I also, maybe I should say at this top, I was going to say at the end, again, this will be something that'll be 5 years. This will be an attachment to the order that we're going to start working on, or the resolution we're going to start working on next month to amend the redevelopment plan. Which means that, in my mind, we always can draft our addendums ourselves, or we always can add addendum 6 months from now. So if we want to change something, just add on an addendum, much like if you were changing a contract, for instance. So there are other avenues where we can write stuff as well. So if it looks like, as we review this, we personally think that we need to adjust stuff, obviously, I think that we can and everything. But for right now, I think it's great.
And
I do
you'll have the source documents. You may not have
perfect.
the software to edit the source documents, but
Sure.
you will have the source documents.
But we can always write like in it. But
Yeah.
there are other ways to go about that. We have many
Absolutely.
lawyers to know how to like.
Lots of
We take this and we're
attorneys.
changing
Yeah.
this. And there we go.
I do have a question. We've referred to this as a revision of our 2008 statement.
Think so. That's how at least I was envisioning it. Is that we are essentially, let's say at a minimum. I don't want to speak for how everything, but I think we'll try and build consensus on
Is
this.
that,
But
is that a legal thing that it's a revision rather than replacement, or is that just something that we're,
No, it's, the RDC can decide whether they consider it a whole brand new from scratch or an amendment.
so even though we're calling it that, it's still replacing the one from 2008
Yes.
completely?
would say
Unless
at a
you
minimum
decide
replacing
otherwise.
the parts of the document that are done. But essentially, but everything's very old. This essentially has to be a wholesale replacement because we have new data and we've updated it. So, and Rose is nodding yes. So we would, if we say it's a wholesale replacement, it's a
I would
wholesale
say you
replacement.
should probably consider it a wholesale
Okay.
replacement.
Cool.
And while it is a 5-year plan, there are clearly things in the plan that
That
are
are-
going to take you
okay.
longer than
Yes,
5
yes.
years to get done. But casting that vision
Mm-hmm.
can help you move forward. The next 3 items are all similar.
Mm-hmm.
There's been discussion or questions about whether the plumbing school site, the medical arts building that is part of the St. Francis district, and the Emerson Avenue housing development should be included in the plan because those are at various stages of moving forward with new ownership. I'm asking Ed to come up and present the arguments for why you still may want to include those, even if things aren't quite what you envisioned. So Ed, will you cover that?
Thanks, Rose. So the way I would look at it is for each one of them, I would leave it in the plan. The reason, there are 2 reasons. One is, in my experience, even if we have an idea of how a particular property is going to be developed, and it turns out for whatever reason it runs into a roadblock, it doesn't mean that that can't be relocated someplace else. So you have a template, if you will, of maybe how to approach a different property. In the case of specifically the plumbing school or medical arts for that matter, it may be an opportunity for the commission to actually be proactive. So in the case of the plumbing school, if they need help financially, you have funds, but you may want to be developed a little bit differently than what they're thinking. So it's a little bit of horse trading, but again, the idea is the commission being proactive about actively going out and talking to those developers and saying, hey, we like your project, we'd like to talk to you about it, we have some ideas, and figure out a way to work it out. So the other kind of situation that can happen is you can have somebody thinking they're going to do something and it doesn't happen. Well, you still have a plan at least for that property, right? That you can show somebody else down the road that could be a new developer. So there are a number of reasons why, even if none of them happen the way we think they will, you at least have a template for how to use those types of situations elsewhere within the community. You have an idea of how to work with those developers, and you have a way to try and make that work. So I'd be happy to try and answer any questions you might have.
For C, the medical arts one, I don't think we had included that as part of the Franciscan one. One, because someone had already bought it around the time we were putting together this draft document. I know they're clearing out the building. So I know there were some notes about there, because there was a question about, well, why isn't that medical arts property on there? And we are very close to ending the process of TIFing it. We have to do our confirmation resolution and public hearing as early as the August meeting. We have to publicly notice that. I don't recall in our discussions when we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it in August, but yeah, so we are going to TIF that area.
Right.
I just don't recall seeing it in there, but I haven't opened my draft documents since I got back there. Now, all that to say, for medical arts, I'd love to put it on there, because I think, from what I've heard from them, is that they're going to redevelop that building into something that I think we particularly would like, which is, I assume, something mixed use possibly. That's what I've heard, but I'm not for sure. And it is in a corridor that has a lot of TIF properties around it.
Right.
That needs to be redeveloped.
Within the opportunity area for the St. Francis district, it does include the medical arts building. It says the opportunity area also incorporates the property immediately west of North 17th, locally known as the medical arts
Great.
building.
Cool.
And so that is included in there. And leaving it is obviously our recommendation. But on all three of those, what is the preference of the RDC?
I'm going to say I'd like to keep them, but going into your next part about ordering them, I would like the plumbing school, just from what I've heard, they're not moving forward as fast as they said at the city council meeting,
Correct.
as well as that one should be moved lower to, it should be either right above or right below the one for 25th and Troy.
And
Since
we'll
that's
get there in just a minute.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there's no strategy or intent
Yeah.
in the order of them, so it's absolutely fine
Yeah.
to reorder
So-
those spreads.
And that's what I'm trying to get for the plumbing school. Is I think it could be kept in there, but if someone was reading this and had the assumption was a priority, we should move that one
Right.
down. The Emerson Avenue one, that's a strip of land that someone had just bought.
Right.
That for a number of dollars, and I think city administration had thought that, and I think was talking with someone who bought it that may make it mixed use, and so that's a big vacant patch of land that someone bought, and so it is an
It's a decent-sized
opportunity.
parcel, and it's on Emerson.
Yeah.
So,
There's just the building of more connecting roads and everything, but that's part of infrastructure. You're going to have to run more pipes in there. So I think that could be there, and I think it goes to the point of is that we need to have conversations with them as well about, saying, hey, we've done this plan. This is in line with your thinking, as you've said, Ed, and, and try and work out, if their timeline and our perceived timeline match up. So, and again, if nothing goes to plan the next 2, 3, 5 years, we always can then tack on the end of saying, hey, this potential project or this item on this page we are not pursuing at this time,
Right.
or is we consider to be
or
insert
the
word here.
circumstances have changed, and this is no longer a
Yeah.
viable potential project.
But that's just my thinking on this. But medical arts building definitely is, and that referrals that it should stay in there because it connects to Franciscan, and I think it just may be the first thing that gets done,
It's
since
done.
Franciscan's property that still has to be bought by the hospital, and then.
And it could be a catalyst for getting the things done
Maybe.
across the street.
But anyway, my thoughts. Others, what do you think?
I was told recently that and we keep calling it a medical arts building, I think
Yeah.
it's not really, but regardless, that's their intent, but they don't have actual plans to do a mixed retail. They finished the demolition part, now they either got the permits or they're still waiting on them to do the remodeling.
Okay.
But from what I was told by a source, that the guy has said, it's a couple brothers, I guess, that own the thing. They've said that's what they'd like to do, but they don't have set in stone plans. They don't have a blueprint sitting there.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's pretty open, I guess.
Yes.
I mean,
So,
we could, like you said, Ed, we could maybe guide them, in a certain direction.
it's a
so.
good time and good opportunity to do that.
Kind of a carrot or a stick, depending on how you look at it.
And you can use it as a carrot, and that's part of the work of a redevelopment
Yeah.
commission. So are we thinking stay at this time?
I think stay more is better than less. You never know what. Again, some people say that some of this is a bit. What's the nicest? Well, I'm going to use pie in the sky. It is. It's like we think this could be it, but we don't know what other people want. But it's
And
best to have something than not.
Every redevelopment that people adore and really like spending time there and has seen much investment, whether that's Carmel Art and Design District, Midtown Carmel, the Fisher's Nickel Plate District, what Westfield is doing with their downtown, Grand Park in Westfield, that all started with a vision and a concept plan like this that seemed way out of reach.
Okay.
But when you just eat the elephant one bite at a time and take a proactive role in that, that's how those things happen. Carmel didn't passively sit by and let that happen. They bought properties, sought developers, and made it happen.
Gotcha.
So if you think large enough, you can do that too. And we hope this guidance can help you. So we'll move on to E, the project order and the plan. Cecil is taking copious notes, and he's going to be the one to rearrange the page spreads because. But what order? If we look at like the table of contents, actually the table of contents isn't that specific. But if you look at the projects within
The opportunity
that,
areas.
the opportunity areas, what would be the preferred?
If you have your plan with you, if you go to page 36, there's a bullet point of each one that's listed in its particular order by page. For me, because I've had
Do
a
you need a hard copy, Phil? Or are you
sorry.
okay? Do you need a hard copy of the plan?
You've got another one, yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
What's it? Oh, that one. Yeah, okay, I remember
Smart
that.
enough
But
to
that
do that one.
revolves around.
No worries, I have copies left from the open house.
Okay.
So that page 36 has the list of all of them.
Yeah, for me, because I've had a chance to look at that, and someone actually asked me that question. For me, the CSX District Industrial, so that's the old CSX area, would be number one. That is the one that's been talked about. That's the one where it's come close to being redeveloped twice in the last 7 years that I'm aware of. Both have fallen through, and that's one that is a prime source of if it gets redeveloped, it could develop a lot of tax revenue for the city. So that'd be number one, followed by the St. Francis District, because that's just a lot of land that has the potential for mixed use and more housing, which is another consideration that we want to see, and especially in that particular area along Albany. So that would be number 1 and 2 for me.
And a project on either of those sites in the next 5 years would help you with replacement of the revenue that you'll lose
Yes.
with the expiration. That's why the plan is important, is moving anything forward on any of these, especially the highest potential ones, helps you with the falling off of your existing TIF.
So then the next thing for me would be number 3 would be the North 17th Avenue Trail or Sherman. I only say that because that is something that I think that as we develop Franciscan and reach a deal on, we're most likely are going to be asked to put up money for infrastructure improvements, most likely. So why not also then work with Indianapolis to build that extension on that trail since it's in the area? I'm not saying we will do it. We don't know what will happen, but that just seems a logical connection point to me, is that if we're working on Old Franciscan, then Sherman, essentially 17th or Sherman butts right into it. It is the second busiest street that's going to cross that area. So let's put that trail area as don't think of it as like a number 3, but think of it like a 2B is what I would think. And then it would be the CSX Park. It's just the landfill. The landfill has to be dealt with at some point. And so whether it's a park or something else, in the end, I think it has to be in the top 5. So I personally would put that one next.
I would recommend as a RDC field trip that you go visit Lebanon and talk to their engineer and learn about Stone Eater Park. They inherited and annexed a very old, very poorly done landfill that was not a proper permitted landfill, very large, lots of problems. They started building a plan, and it took them 15 or more years. Last October, they opened a beautiful mountain bike park that is an attraction for national level competition there. And their engineer, it was his personal passion project as well as the city's passion project. Talking to both him and the mayor may give you, and seeing the site, may give you some context of what can happen with a pretty grungy landfill.
Okay, so I see those things. So that would be 1, 2, 3, and then I think the Capricorn housing expansion. As Phil's mentioned, really it's just that we buy that patch of land at 16 Detroit, add a street to divide it, add in the infrastructure. Someone wants to build houses, that's great. Though we will need to. I think that's some. If we do move in that direction, I have questions for attorneys, but that's more specific for them down the road. But I think that's right in the middle area. That's for number 4, personally for me. And then I think the industrial redevelopment district, that is the area that's already industrial, still has some residential houses, and I think that's where it's been identified if we can add on more space to build more industrial capacity or more warehousing. I think that can go up with the housing expansion. That's just a means of just buying out property, making it fully industrial commercial.
Eliminating some conflicts there, some things that irritate the people that live there.
Yeah.
While creating housing opportunity somewhere else.
Yeah. And then 6 would be Emerson Housing, just because we do have to talk with this person. I know the mayor's talked with the person who did buy it about what their intentions are. Do we all align, and do we align on timeline? And then that gets to the last 3. I think East Troy, that is something that I mentioned. That's just an area that I know can use redevelopment, but that's a lot of separate parcels. That's a gas station, that's someone's barber shop, and then that's that little strip mall area that's right there. So that's a lot of people to talk to, and you literally have to buy all those parcels to do something with it, I think. So that should be at the end. That's more of like, don't know if we'll get it in 5 years, maybe 10 years,
Land
if
assembly's
ever.
not easy, but it can be done.
7. And then that leaves Main Street. Main Street is, as you know, people own properties on Main Street. We have made it clear. Rose has made it clear. Our other friends at REA has made it clear. We have made it clear. We have no intention of trying to force anyone out of their property if they don't want to keep it. And so if an opportunity comes up to buy that other part of second and just north of Main Street, or do that infill in Main Street, hey, that's going to be great, but that's contingent on, one, being able to TIF Main Street, which has been is definitely more of a political conversation to
Yes.
have with city council and everything, as well as those particular property owners. But it should be made clear, it goes at the bottom, because those are things that I think we would like to do if the opportunity presents itself, but we want to make sure that the property owner is already there. That's yours, and we're not looking to change your status quo on, unless you're, willing and ready to sell if you want to.
If something changes, then it's the opportunity to say, hey, we envision something a little different here.
I was just thinking about that for the people watching at home, I guess. because it's in the plan doesn't mean that's all we want to do. When we came here a year and a half ago, David and I had talked about redoing Main Street, getting all the parking's a big issue on Main Street. We came up with a way to move all parking of employees, business owners, everything off of Main Street and behind the buildings and leave Main Street for just customers. And then almost make it into like an open air, what's the word I'm looking for?
Open it market or something, open
Yeah,
air
whatever
walkthrough, yes,
market
yeah,
where
yeah.
people, and I've talked to numerous business owners where they could put flowers outside and sell them, they could sell pizza by the slice, blah, blah, blah. So because we say we want to do the things in this plan doesn't mean that's all we want to do. And I still love that idea. We talked about it from the day we got on this commission, and it's a neat idea. And, you know, like I said, just because we present something doesn't mean that's
Right.
cut and dried.
And a parking study and analysis of that and all of the working through that has to happen on that was not within our scope. That's really a downtown focused sort of opportunity and should accompany and be something that you're discussing with the city administration.
Yeah, but I share your same feelings, Phil, about, yes.
And
Doesn't
it's
mean we're
that
gonna
way
do
with-
it, but we should, if we can study it and
Yeah.
if we find that opportunity, definitely yes.
And it's that way with everything in this plan.
Yes.
That, you know, these are guidelines, so people understand that we're not saying if we don't do this, we're not doing anything. We could come up with something
Yeah,
completely different, but
Exactly.
these are our priorities as a commission to get these things taken care of.
yeah. But does that reorder that I proposed sound good? I mean, I think CSX, Francis at the top, Main Street at the bottom. Some of the stuff can stay where it is, but it's like, yeah, you know, some of
Well,
these things.
CSX obviously is the big moneymaker,
Is the money, yes.
so I mean.
It's the one that's come
that's
close, and it's the
supposedly
biggest
why
area.
we're here.
Yeah, it
You know,
is
we
the
haven't made
biggest
any
TIF.
money for the city in 18 years, whatever, but that's
Yeah.
why we're here, is
Yeah, exactly.
putting money in. So.
Yes.
And St. Francis is
That
similar.
too,
It's a large site. It was like one of the major drivers of Beech Grove's development in history when it was a hospital, and now it's kind of, it would mean a lot, I think, to people to have redevelopment on that site.
And just as an aside, I'm really just, Bob, I guess you can just nod and everything. Because it was a hospital, were they ever paying property taxes when it was a hospital over there?
The only property taxes that were paid were not paid by St. Francis or Franciscan Alliance. They leased, in some periods of time, they leased a floor or parts of a floor to for-profit medical providers. That small portion that was leased was taxable, but otherwise zero.
Okay, so yeah, most of it not pay property taxes except when there was for-profit there, which means that this may be a parcel for the first time
In
since our
decades.
basic property tax scheme that will actually pull property taxes out of it, which is gay for us. Okay?
One quick clarification on the order. Do you have a preference on the Main Street stuff? Do you want the redevelopment ahead of the infill or the infill ahead of the?
I'll put the infill at the bottom. I think how you had it listed, I think, yes, the redevelopment at second north of Main Street should be second to last, and then the infill will be last, because
Okay.
I think a lot more people are more used to in that infill area. That's where a lot of businesses are and where a lot of the foot traffic, I think, is, as you move further.
Thank you for
West.
the clarification. So that seems like we're in a good place there. The next one is, I know you're planning on adopting, we just talked about it, in August, the TIF for the medical arts. Do you want us to include that in the description of the TIF areas?
Oh, that's a good question, because I want to say yes, but I'd be hesitant to put out into the universe that I believe it's a foregone conclusion. That site will be, I mean, you can never
That's where
discount
you
that
may
someone's gonna
wanna
come
do
in
an
for public hearing.
addendum Later and just be like,
Yeah,
new TIF district.
yes.
One pager
Could-
rather than adding.
Could we
it.
just say it's pending at this time?
I mean, we're adding it in, I mean, it's gonna be up for a vote in August.
Yeah.
The plan will be approved.
Mhm.
at-
Will begin to be approved at the August meeting. Why not shade it in but I would say depending on where you're putting it in, if you're putting like there's like a pin, what, Aaron, I forget which one because we changed the name. It's in like the 17th Avenue
It wouldn't.
TIF allocate or TIF area.
Right. It wouldn't affect anything in the, Ed, would it affect anything in the fiscal analysis? I think it's more just, on pages 31 through 33.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You see where I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, go ahead and add it because it's been unanimous the entire time. I just don't know if someone's going to come in and say, "Hey, at a public hearing," I don't think they will. Saying this is a bad idea,
It's
don't do
easy
it. I
enough
think
to
it will
strike
happen.
it if
I
you-
would just ask for the description stuff. Just talk to Aaron or Bob. They'll get you if you need like to fill in the blanks on for page 33. Just add it on there. But yeah, we are going. You're going to vote for it, right? In August, the confirmatory resolution. Jenny, you're going to vote for it. So I got a majority right here. So I think we're going to telegraph if we're going to approve this. So, yeah. So I think included on there, it'll
Okay.
save us from having to redo
It
the
won't
map.
have a state TIF number, which will
Yeah,
be the thing
fine.
that's different about it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
This one, so police, fire, EMS, and to a lesser extent, parks and destination language don't directly impact the plan, but they are connected to the vision. We can add brief statements about that to the existing conditions report, which is where it would go, if that is your pleasure.
I'm going to say I think it's yes, especially if we get outside people outside the state who are going to read this or out in a different region. It's best to give them as best a description of what we have, even it's very, very
Site
basic.
selectors are going to expect you to have police, fire, and EMS and
Yes.
for it to be high quality,
Oh,
which
yes.
is why I wasn't overly concerned
Yeah.
about it. But we can add that. The destination piece for youth sports will, I will recommend that is in a context of the larger region. And while you are a destination and attract people for certain leagues, Grand Park is 35 minutes away.
Yes.
And it's a different league.
And it is, yeah.
So, not dissing anything about your facilities. They're great, but that is an intentional economic development strategy that they've been implementing for 12 years.
Yeah.
It's very different. So we'll describe it, but it won't be like a focus of any.
Yeah. And again, that's something that if we, as things get developed, we always can add on later and everything. But I think some basic stuff, again, I only come from the approach of anyone, I'm really thinking of anyone from maybe out of state. It's like, we'll give them any additional context is great to, at a minimum, send an email to
Right.
someone on the RDC, the mayor, whatever, a city council
It's not
member.
the extent that we would do for a comprehensive plan, but
Sure.
we can acknowledge. So that's good. We're down to our last two items in seemingly record time. The open house input, at the bottom, the last page of your RDC feedback handout has the open house results. And one person made comments on the map board, and one person submitted a comment card. And the comment card, I think, is consistent with what's been included in the plan. The trail routing and some of that's stuff that you're going to study and develop further with engineering and moving forward. So changing it at this point seems like it's not necessarily relevant. Someone wanted a park for the Bailey Park neighborhood extension. That doesn't get you the tax revenue that you would be looking at for that. That's the Capricorn. area. So, are there any changes you want to make based on that feedback?
Help me out, which document should I be looking? I'm a little bit.
You're at the Redevelopment Commission, the last page,
Development Commission last page.
the
Not the actual.
one that has all the comments.
Oh, yes, okay. Where did I have that? Because it was
I know
a.
yours is on the screen, so I can't help you with the
Oh, because I just had it opened, I think. Yeah, you sent the. No,
final
that was
page
something.
of that.
Yeah, I don't think we got those.
They were
Did we?
emailed to the Redevelopment
Oh,
Commission.
okay.
They're just not handed out, or not
Okay.
printed for all y'all. but you
One of the
do
things I
have
didn't
copy.
print out then.
You want me to
So-
go to the email? Hold on.
So that was the only input you got. was-
And then we'll go through
The-
the board exercises, but that was the only,
Well, the park thing, the city's been going back and forth with that for years, and that's their latest thing. The money has been allocated by the RDC for, I think, 4 years. It was the park, and then, well, let's take it, do it for the amphitheater and the other park, and then back to the 16th Street. It's
All,
gone
all
back and
that,
forth.
all that money's gone.
I'm
We
sorry?
we dispensed with that at the end of last year when we redid the budget. We released the hold. You know, sometimes we hold money, like
So
let's not spend
basically, we
it.
transferred it to the, more or less, to the park thing, because they stopped the emphasis as well. But I know there are still people talking about.
Yeah,
park.
not really exactly. We just lifted the money,
Yeah.
and then we have this
Yeah,
other thing.
But the city is still considering that, and it's like $1 million to put a park in there. And
that's not gonna generate.
I
any
lived there,
for you.
and
Okay.
when I campaigned for office a couple years ago, I had one person in my neighborhood say they were for that park, and that, she said that was so she could watch the kids and make sure they didn't get in any trouble. Everybody else was against it,
Yes,
so.
sir.
One other thing that might be relevant too is during the planning process, the sisters brought up that they would like their property to be more accessible. And so there's a recommendation within the plan about kind of an MOU with the sisters to make their property more accessible. That's literally like a block north of the Bailey Park neighborhood expansion project that we're talking about. So if that property is opened up for accessible use, you're gonna have more park-like amenities that are right there, adjacent to it. So
For right now, for Bailey Park was the one that we identified. That's the one to extend the housing
Right.
unit over there. For right now, I'm fine with keeping that one. We have discussed the park, but we could not reach. We just couldn't. The folks who own the land asked for too much. We asked for how much it would cost. I was told it is not something that was feasible. That we were, we could not pay. No, because I asked. Let me see. Give me a minute to think of what the wording was. We had it appraised. Thank you. And there was no way that, I think the Archdiocese still owns it. The Archdiocese was not going to accept it. It was too low for them. So the park idea frankly, is dead because they're not going to sell us for that one. So I would think on that one, I think that's something that we should not address. We've tried it, and I don't think it is something that we can go in that way. So I think the current plan that we have, getting a developer maybe to extend housing, which is needed everywhere, but also in Beech Grove, I think is the place that we should start, and we should just leave that as it is and
They
see how we
were,
can do
again,
that way.
Thanks to an inside source.
Yeah.
Father was considering a lower amount, because what I had heard, their capital campaign was a little low, and money came in, and now they've gone back to what they were asking before. So I guess it was closer than we realized to being sold to the city, but as of now, it's not. And again, we've talked about putting the development there, which would be a lot better for us monetarily, for property tax purposes.
Cleveland Street plus gap between 13th and Bethel. I'm having a hard time.
They're saying that there's right of way there to build, to bridge the creek and make a trail connection.
Oh, trail connection. I think that has to do. That's something to discuss with parks. I'm going to leave that out of there. We got enough stuff to do. We're already envisioning a trailhead for Sherman, but that's only because it's a next potential redevelopment area.
Right.
So
This will likely be addressed. The Metropolitan Planning Organization has planning funds available every year now, and I know it's the administration's intent to apply for a grant for a full-blown parks and trails and connectivity study next year. Couldn't get it together for this year
Yeah.
because it's not a huge window. But that is something that could be fully addressed, as are some of these other trail connections. in that
Yes,
sense.
I think with the trail connections and everything, yes, that could be addressed through other ways, and in other projects or other grants that are out there. And if it can be something that, like the parks, for our side of the parks, city administration wants to do, I think any combination of that one. So I would say for the parks and trail stuff, unless it's connected to a
Redevelopment.
proposed area here, I'm gonna personally let that lie. Of course, if something does come up where we need to address it, again, we have our ways to add addendums on there. The southeast edge of the highlighted area, I'm assuming that's
They want to add a gateway element on 9th, just north of Thompson.
at a gateway element on 9th, just north of. No, that's where I live. No, I'm going to say this: all for gateways. Gateways like the one at Main Street in Emerson, those are the type of gateways I'm talking about. If we can find, as we do redevelopment, to build gateways like at CSX, we want to build a new gateway. All willing to talk about that. I think we can build that into as part of infrastructure and everything. For 9th and Thompson, that's all residential area. I mean, there is that one place that was supposed to turn into a realty area. I don't know if it ever got off the ground. I mean, they got their change in rezoning and everything, but that's really an area there. I mean, I know there's a sign that says "Welcome to Beech Grove." Those signs may be changing because there's a new design that, about with logos and everything. That I don't want to talk to tonight. I want to avoid that completely. I personally, but I leave this up to you. I mean, I'm totally doing the talking, but if you two think, hey, we want to include this specifically, I think we have enough on gateways, and I don't think that we should hold ourselves to saying specifically where we want to put gateways. I think the thing is like, hey, we want to do a gateway, that's great with a redevelopment project. I think there are perfect areas where that's going to be. If we ever do 25th and Troy, that's great. Let's also build a appropriate gateway there. If we do redevelopment, as well as at the CSX property, if we ever build out there, that'd be a nice place to have a gateway because that's essentially the northeast area of our city and everything. I personally just don't want to call out specific areas. I'd like to be more generic at the entries to the cities or whatever the common name
We
is
talked
for your
about different
place.
degrees of,
Yeah, primary and secondary.
Yes.
And secondary, like, if circumstances change or you wanted to, you can always add more secondary gateways and even primary gateways, but it's really like a, let's get started, kind of,
well, our big ones are obviously the pagodas up
Right.
there, and then
right.
the
And
smaller
then a
ones.
few other ones.
I'll be in Edinburgh tomorrow night, and on their main street, I sent the council this picture. They've got these beautiful signs, which are coming soon signs that were outdated before they were put up. Would be perfect for it. Just says welcome to Edinburgh Historic Main Street, 2-hour parking, which that's been a big issue. They got the signs. They want to take them down, but they haven't been taken down. And then it says no trucks, and they're just beautiful signs, and they're real simple. And it's nice either end of Main Street there in Edinburgh when you go in.
Yeah.
Tells you you're in there, and it says historic. I don't know if it's historic, but it sounds good. But those are the smaller gateways, and they're really neat. I really like it. Like I said, I'll be parking by one tomorrow night, and it's a nice welcome to Main Street instead of having to look over a sign that's got half the places that are no longer there. So.
Yeah, yes, I like that. So I think there are different options out there, but I like to be generic on. I'd like the generacy of it because if we're going to build that, now I'm not saying that we don't put one at 9th. I mean, we're fine, but I like to do it in a context of for us in redevelopment. So when we redevelop something, if there is where we put a gateway, then let's put it there and let's make it like. I really, honest to God, I really like. I think it's Martinsville. I want it or Mooresville. It's Mooresville on 67. They have a type of, when you come in, they have a big welcome to Mooresville, it's, I think, rocked form of some sort. Something like that.
one
It could be
on-
obviously smaller. I mean, I'm not looking to spend Carmel
That they
money.
got INDOT to pay for?
What did they get in? No, they may have because it's right next to a state highway and everything. But something like that. But this all goes back to I like to be a little bit generic on here just to keep the options open
Right.
and everything. So
My town did a big gateway project 15, 20 years ago, and it was because we had the metal signs that were outdated and were like police patrolled. And we're like, that doesn't sound like the welcoming
Yeah.
sort
Right.
of message we want to have for our community. I understand what it meant at the time. And we ended up doing nice big gateways, and there is one in my yard, and there's advantages and disadvantages. So, yeah, we'll keep that just as is. It was a comment. You can acknowledge that it happened, that it was made. The other sheet that we emailed was this one. These were the questions that were on the board, and we asked people to vote with red dots if they disagreed, green dots if they agreed. Pretty easy, not difficult to confuse. People were asked to vote on each one. The only disagreements, and they were outweighed by people who agreed, were the walk with the mayor on the Hornet Greenway, and that's an idea that other communities have done. It's a way to build relationships and have people feel like they have good access to the administration. Thought it would be a good way to promote the trail and create some energy there. One person didn't care for that. And then there was one person who doesn't care for gateway signs. All of the other votes were in support of the action items.
Gotcha.
Any changes you want to make?
No, I just think with the one votes, that's all fine. I imagine that this particular document will be clear in the materials you give us at the end, because some of these things are like walk with the mayor. Well, that's a mayor. That's an administrative function that I do not want to
honestly,
track.
does the mayor feel like doing a walk once
Yes.
a week or once a month?
Or like code enforcement. We're not code enforcement.
Right.
Or the cops. I know the chief, and I think coffees with cops are good. I don't want to be the one to enforce all that and
No,
everything.
but like
yes.
just suggesting, some of these suggestions do have to be a little outside of your realm in order to be responsive and help the community as a whole
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that when you see it there, I mean, we definitely should, as we get to the phase 2 members, is to pull some of these out, because there's like the facade improvements. I'm aware of a program because Hammond had one way back in the day and everything. And as you know, we've been asked for help from Main Street businesses, but because they're not TIFed and other things, and we don't have property interest in them, we haven't been able to help them. But I think with a combination,
Communities that have a downtown now have some type of facade improvement.
yeah. So if we can find the maximum there, so we can actually do in some way a system and everything, I think we want to make sure to pull that out, talk with some professionals, and build a program after we hire our professional development person who will help us do, that redevelopment stuff. Our pseudo director, as I call him in my mind.
In your head. Great. So then there's just a few questions that we want to get clarification on so that we can update the plan. I think Phil just did an explanation of what your best understanding at this point is for the medical arts building, that they're looking at mixed use, right, with ground floor retail and then housing.
That's what I was told, but again, there's no blueprint for it.
Right. And we'll frame it as something like the current understanding of the project is. Someone had made a comment about adding, or what about CSX development with road signs and fencing with lights and cameras? Can someone give us more context on that?
That wasn't from me, so I don't know. I will only say that with CSX, that'll be contingent on whoever develops the site. Obviously, anything that fits into anything that we can help pay for, which is infrastructure improvements and everything, we'll be more than happy to. But it's going to be an agreement of, okay, well, what do you want from us to make sure this goes with this, and then what also can we get from you, and you give us some
Okay,
easements to
I
do
just didn't know
Greenway.
if there
Yeah.
was a project that we somehow weren't aware of.
I'm
that
not aware of
needed
any
to have
particular
more
project. I know the
awareness.
person who owns the site, I still think he's cleaning it up and everything, but his area is gated, because I was over there a couple weeks ago, and it's like, you can go up to turn area to turn around, but beyond that, you
Yeah,
can't
it's
get
gated.
anywhere, and it's just piles of dirt and gravel and everything.
We weren't sure suggesting that should be included in the project description, which it is. It's within the cost opinion.
Yeah.
For like roads and lighting.
Right.
Maybe not surveying.
Planned for it, but we're just trying to figure out if there was an existing project we were missing. So I think we're good there. Someone had mentioned talking about partnership potential between CSX and Beech Grove. We don't have any context for that comment
I
either.
don't know. Does CSX still operate out here and everything? Because it's really just Amtrak's over at the
I think they're
rail
talking more
site.
about Amtrak than,
I know the city has a relationship and everything. I mean, obviously, if they're looking for, though, I don't know how we would. Always for partnerships with one of the biggest employers here in the city, obviously. And so if they're ever looking for an area, and obviously I think we'd probably talking with them because old CSX abuts the Amtrak maintenance yard, right? In some ways,
Yeah.
their property parcels.
The track goes in back.
And there's a track behind.
The landfill too.
Yeah, yes, yeah, from over there and everything. So I think that's a foregone conclusion. I mean, we're always going to talk to them, and probably if we ever do the redevelopment over there, that we're going to give them a heads up and
Right,
everything.
and
so
you
yeah.
need to have those conversations, but there's no formal partnership or conversation that is.
It's not with the RDC.
no, but it
No,
wouldn't
okay.
be a bad idea, frankly. I mean, David and I went there and talked to a guy for 3 hours, and I mean, they said they'd give us a train car if we wanted to put somewhere. They're more than willing to help us with whatever we'd like, and we probably need to be more forceful with pushing that relationship,
Push it
frankly.
forward.
Wow. When you say train car, do you mean they actually give us a train car as like a model or something?
Like
Like a
one that's
real
out of
train car to
use.
use in a park or something.
One that's out of use to put down in the park. or-
That'd be great as a gateway somewhere.
They do
Yeah,
stuff like that
the guy
somewhere.
said, he says,
Yeah.
we got them everywhere.
So I think that's contingent on us. As we get into that area, we definitely should have conversations with them and everything. And maybe we should speak to them every once in a while, but saying, though I don't know how we would help with redevelopment of Amtrak since it's essentially a government corporation at the very least, or public-private.
Railroads have their own little special classification.
Yeah, so, but yes, definitely. I mean, I
It'll
think
probably be more
we
of a
must
civic
always
thing, I
talk
guess,
with them.
than us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have the city
Yeah,
work with them.
yeah. I
And
think-
then someone had made a comment about the Emerson and Churchman roundabout, and that's one that I didn't see in my tip, but I can certainly get that information from the MPO. I know that's an upcoming project.
Okay, yeah.
And I know the people to get the information from, so we'll follow up on that one. That's the extent of what we feel was important to discuss tonight. Is there any, obviously, we've already gone through and made many of the typographical and similar edits. We've checked through code citations and removed language that was from recodification and like was older, and we fixed it. Anything that we do in the executive summary will be carried forward into the document and vice versa. There's one where there was a note that there was poor wording, and that's directly from the state statute, and it's like, yeah, sometimes LSA does a interesting job.
Right.
We are going to add a disclaimer that the local income tax that's discussed in the fiscal analysis, Beech Grove has not yet adopted a local income tax, and that is something that should be done, and the amount is what could be collected. And Ed can answer more questions about that than I can if you have anything, and the rest of it is pretty much, yeah, we'll just work through a couple of adjustments, rearranging things. And the balances regarding the Lowe's and Walmart TIF, that's really a question for you to work through with Jeff Peters.
Yeah. So we'll work through because there's a number of things we'll work with Jeff on, scoping out as we move into the next phase. You know, what's the potential of us buying and redeveloping and selling as opposed to, and could we do it all at once? Could we do it, well, I'm gonna use project by project, and everything, and then also to take into effect, like, once this thing runs out and everything, and though I do imagine we will re-tip those areas, because eventually even those areas will be in need of redevelopment, and everything, what is feasible with what we have coming on the horizon and what we may actually get done and everything. Though, I want to be clear. And this is just for edification. In the end, the LOID and everything is a matter for the council and the mayor to work on. We don't have any LOID in this city. Or are we talking about the new and the enhanced one that was created by this new legislation?
When Coet and Cadgett were merged into LOID, and cities had to opt in through legislative action.
Okay.
Beech Grove has not yet taken that legislative action to opt in.
Got it. Okay.
Correct, Ed?
Okay.
Are we talking about actually, explain that a little bit further
So,
out.
yeah. Coet is county option income tax. Cadgett was county adjusted gross income tax. You could have Coet or Cadgett, but not both. In some legislative changes 2, 3, 4 years ago, those were replaced and consolidated with the local option income tax, which allowed municipalities to create income taxes. As property tax revenue shifts, and because property tax is paid where you live. Coet and Cadgett were paid by your county of residence, not your county of work. And that's particularly challenging in Marion County, where many people who are high earners live in Hamilton County. And so all of that money bleeds out to Hamilton County. I don't know for sure that the LOID fixes that, but it was to give more options to local units of government.
Problem is, I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to put something in there that tells people we might be looking at raising their taxes. Is there a way we could word it to say it's an option?
Yeah,
I mean,
it'll
yeah.
be, it is an option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give
And it
people
would
the impression
mean a
that.
lot of discussion
Yeah.
ahead of that, and that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
a
Yeah,
council.
last thing we
and
want
not
to do
an
is make them
emergency.
think that, especially with the sewer discussion now,
Right.
the sewer rate's going to think we're going to raise their taxes.
Yeah.
To pay for this.
I would agree. I would agree with saying that and everything, and mostly making it clear that the RDC, we cannot impose income taxes. We can impose a
You're right.
property tax for some reason, but yes,
Yeah, so it's not our responsibility.
it's not our responsibility.
We're
We're
not
just
rec-
saying
we're not
this is the
recommending
potential thing
that
that's out there.
They
Yes.
do it. It's just
We
an
will make
option.
it clear, we just
Yeah,
wanna,
great.
It's an
like,
option.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that that is not something that you currently have,
Yeah.
but the option for
No,
it is
it's best to
included
acknowledge that.
in
Yeah.
the analysis.
Yeah.
So where we move from here is that we will take these comments and over the next week or two, make changes, and then send you all of the electronic documentation for the plan. And I think there's 5 print copies, if you want 5 print copies at this stage, included in that. And then we will send you that, and you will carry it forward through adoption and implementation.
I think, yeah, we'll take the 5 print copies, deliver them to City Hall, and then I'll make sure they get dropped off
Right.
here and everything. But I most likely will donate mine to council, so they actually have a record in case, we can never trust technology in the end. Technology is a tool, but sometimes may not be reliable. So I want to make sure they have the copy, but I'm going to give mine to them because
They'll
less
be,
paper.
bound just like the one that
Great.
Phil has
Great.
in his hand right now,
Yep.
in-house finding.
Cool.
Are there further questions that we can answer for you?
I have one. We've got our mission statement at the beginning, and you used the word disclaimer earlier. Do we have anything in there that lets people know that, as a disclaimer thing, that this may not happen, or that this is?
Yes. There's a lot of language that says this is a vision of
Because again, I don't
potential.
want to give people, we've been beating this for a year now, and I don't want to give people the wrong impression that, we're going to do this or else.
Correct.
Or that other things may happen, or that the sky falls and
There are
whatever.
a number of places where
So
we
this
can
is a guideline to move this city forward, a vision which we have never had in this city. We now have a vision. That vision may change from today to 6 months from now, but as we stand, this is what it looks like.
Yes.
Well, with that, since this should be the last time for you, I do appreciate all of REA's work on this one, and thank you for dealing with all of us and our inexperience and our particular desires, needs, wants on this matter. It looks like a good plan. For me, it's a lot to work with, which is good. But it is only the first part. The second part will be to put as much as we can into action, however that turns out. But the whole goal is to make sure that better quality of living and for our fellow neighbors and everything, and then obviously bring in more revenue for the city, which is what we stand for and redevelop and everything. But Rose and everyone, I do appreciate again all the hard work that you've done and everything. Look forward to seeing the final product in the next couple weeks. And then Rose, personally, I do wish you the best of luck on your marathon. That's
Ironman triathlon.
yes, triathlon coming up and everything. Good luck, and I hope you place very high or hit whatever your personal goal is.
Finishing is the goal.
Good,
Finishing
good,
is the
good.
goal. It's going to be hot and it's going to be a long day. But thank you. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's been our pleasure to work with you. We've enjoyed working in the community and wish you the best in implementation of the plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty then. Well, that completes this item, and this item will, on the update thing, is actually will now fall off. So it's like it's been there for so long, like a companion, but now it moves on like a character in season 5 of a television show. Okay, so we'll move on to our last item of business that we really have is approval of our dockets. There are actually 2 dockets because we had one from the 17th that had invoices from our attorneys, and then we have one dated for today that has invoices from REA. Their second to last invoice, as well as the invoice from for renewing our dues for the next year with the Redevelopment Association of Indiana, which is through AIM. So since they're in 2 forms, we're going to do 2 motions on this one. I'm going to start with the one dated for today. That's the REA invoice. So I will do my spiel twice in this thing. So the first one, this is an allowance of accounts payable vouchers for the City of Beech Grove RDC, and it reads in part, we have examined the accounts payable vouchers listed on the foregoing register of accounts payable vouchers consisting of 1 page, and except for accounts payables not allowed as shown on the register, such accounts payables are hereby allowed in the amount of $6,666.66.
Can we change that by a penny or something?
I thought about that
That's a lot of
myself, but nah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. On the second page is the accounts payable register. There are 2 entries. First entry is to REA. This is for one of their invoices in the amount of $6,541.66. The second entry is to the Redevelopment Association of Indiana. That's to renew our dues for another year in the amount of $125. I think we all want to stay members of REI and potentially go to any of the things that they offer to learn about what others are doing in redevelopment and changes in laws. And I will say they've been very helpful in trying to answer at least council's questions I asked them, or my particular questions about particular changes in law, or is there another city out there that's doing the same thing that we've contemplated. So continuing with them is, I think, a good thing. But you've heard that docket. Is there a motion to approve this specific docket?
I'll approve.
Thank you, Jenny. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Phil. Just give me a moment or as I write down my notes. All right, discussion on this particular docket. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve the docket, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is approved. I have 2 copies right here. At least I did. Where did I put? Oh, I put them right here. Okay. All right, I'm going to sign these and pass them down. One is going to be for our secretary. When I next see him, I will deliver them to them, and then one will be for the clerk treasurer's file. So here are these two. While you're signing those, I'll get into the second one. The second one, this is from July the 17th. Again, it reads in part, this is the allowance of accounts payable vouchers, City of Beech Grove RDC. We have examined the accounts payable vouchers listed on the foregoing register of accounts payable vouchers consisting of one page, and except for accounts payables not allowed as shown on the register, such accounts payables are hereby allowed in the total amount of $1,993.37. The second page is the account payable register. There are two entries, both to Lewis and Caps. First entry is in the amount of $1,395.37. The second entry is in the amount of $598. Just to get the motion set up and running, I'm going to make a motion to approve this particular docket. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Jenny. 717. By me. All right, discussion on this motion. And you all should have, because I pulled them all because they're on this area of the dais, you all should also have copies for your records of the invoices and everything. I'll ask one more time if there's any more discussion on this motion.
Is there anything new on any of this bankruptcy stuff?
This is the landfill.
Yes, there's some new developments. One of the developments is that we have located a court case. It's out of Pennsylvania, but it involved the railroads, and one of the railroads, well, it was essentially Conrail, but it had to do with landfills and environmental remediation. And one of the sites was in Elkhart, Indiana, and as a result of this litigation, Conrail ended up having to pay, or their insurer, several $1 million to that community. We're still working our way through that. That's one development. Another development is that there's going to be a meeting where city's going to have some participation in it. I think the mayor and maybe somebody from Westler, along with the IU folks and with IDEM. IU is pushing solar development for that site, and IDEM wants to hear what IU has to say. And by IU, I mean their team, which includes power company, or power companies and solar developers. So, as a possibility.
Okay.
Are there still the grants that were there before for the, I know a few years back, didn't they do a bunch of grants for solar things specifically on landfills?
Some of the grants for alternative energy are not as robust under the Trump administration as they were under previous administrations, but there's still some grants, but they all have their own particular requirements, and we don't have all the details from this team that I use trying to put together on what all of those requirements are. But just this week, the person we've been primarily dealing with at IDEM was contacted, and they're interested in attending, and I don't know whether it's going to be in person or virtual. So those are the two most prominent developments.
We have to get, or whoever redevelops that site, you have to get sign off from IDEM if you're going to
Yes, if you're gonna
redevelop
develop
it.
it, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Anything but a park, and even a park, if you disturb it, you would have to have sign off. But-
Gotcha.
But certainly any other use. We have to even get the city of Annapolis sign off if it's anything but a park.
And one more question on this one. This goes back to the bankruptcy, but I assume is the search for if there's any insurance policies from the previous landowners to pull out there. Are you at a place right now where you can guess that, like, there is going to be money out there to help out with this,
Well,
or is it still search?
there's certainly insurers that are very, very large, that insured, the railroads, and one that insured, Early and Daniels, that we're aware of, maybe two. The question is do the conditions and circumstances exist that would trigger those policies? We have not seen the policies yet. The insurance companies are taking the position, where do you have standing? You're not our insured, so we don't have to share what those policies are. So it's going to take something to trigger a discovery in some sort of either action by us or an action by, for example, item against us, where under the trial rules there's third-party discovery, where they might have to disclose what the actual policy language is. But we do know that both Early and Daniels and the railroads, Conrail, now CSX, had insurance, and insurance with insurance companies that are still very robust.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, that's all the questions I have.
But we're still digging through it.
Okay. All right. Any further questions? Discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the motion for approving this particular docket from July 17th, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Motion's approved. I also have 2 copies of these. I'm going to sign this one and that one. Pass that down. There you go.
Thank you.
Approved. And with that getting signed, that concludes our agenda for this evening, which means that it hasn't started raining yet, which is good. So as we get these signed, I'm going to ask if there's a motion to adjourn. Well, I didn't know you guys wanted to stay here longer, so
I motion for that.
thank you.
There you go.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Phil. All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it, and the motion is approved. We are adjourned at 7:13 p.m. Have a good evening, everyone.